Hello and welcome to our Energy Connect studio at NOG Energy Week 2023. I'm delighted to have sitting next to me Johnbosco Uche, Energy Transition Business Opportunity Manager at Shell Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much, Julian. I'm glad to be with you this morning.
Yeah, now let's get straight into it. What do you see as the role of gas in the global energy transition, and how does this translate into the African context?
Well, globally today, gas has been accepted as a transition fuel because we do realize in our journey to energy transition, we need to complement the renewables, and the gas actually is a very good one that can be the transition fuel as we transition into net zero in the coming years to come. And if you bring it back to Africa, we are actually blessed in terms of the reserves, right? If you look at the top 10 biggest reserve in the world, Nigeria is in the top 10, actually number 9. If you also look at the top 20, you've got Nigeria, you've got Algeria, you've got Egypt, right? So we are really blessed. Over 200 TCF of gas in Nigeria, and in Africa, over 600 TCF of gas. So it's huge. So for me, I think it's how to translate that gas to value so that the African population can feel the benefit of what we've been blessed with as natural resources.
Very interesting. And I want to get your thoughts on why I think there is a need for a balanced energy transition.
It has to really be balanced, right? Because you don't want to leave anybody behind when you're moving. And it's all about affordability and accessibility. So it's good to provide power to the population in Africa. It's good to have the energy as the demand is growing. But at the same time, it has to be accessible to the population. Because the demand is so huge. And therefore, if the supply is low, you can imagine what's going to happen to the price. It's going to go up. And then, of course, it's going to be high cost for the population of Africa. So therefore, to have a balanced energy transition, we have to provide it, but at the same time, it has to be affordable.
What do you think people mean when they say that Africa is an energy-poor continent, and what is being done about it?
Well, I think the truth of the matter is that the energy access in Africa is still very low. If I take sub-Saharan Africa as an example, out of 1.1 billion population we have in sub-Saharan Africa, over 570 million do not have access to electricity, right? If you bring it to Nigeria, 45%, about 19 million of population do not have access to electricity. And therefore, to be rich, you have to be rich in energy as well. And this is not just about electricity. If you go to cooking, over 900 million population in Africa, which is over 80%, don't have access to clean cooking. And therefore, you can only describe it as a poor Africa in terms of energy. And therefore, a lot has to be done with our natural resources to be able to translate from poor to rich, because we're already blessed.
Yeah, and I think this probably comes into why it's so important, in your view, to have overall energy access.
No, it's very critical, very important, because even for the economic growth of the nation, you need the access to energy, right? The industries, they need the power to be able to thrive. The GDP of the countries, you need energy, right? And if you even bring it down to the population, when we talk about health, the hospitals, you need the electricity to be able to, protect and have the women that are giving birth. Our schools, they also need to have the right electricity, cooking, and also even our agriculture, the foods, to preserve them, right? And for that reason, I do believe that having that clean access is important, not just for the economic growth, but for the populous population we have in this Africa.
Very interesting. In Nigeria specifically, great opportunities in the energy transition space?
There's huge opportunity. The fact remains that, like I mentioned earlier, we have over 200 TCF of gas, right? And again, it's a lot of natural resources that we can translate as a transition fuel. But we're also blessed with solar, right? We have over 6 to 7 hours of sunlight in a day. Translating that sunlight into energy is already here with us. And I do believe that opportunity is there. And for whoever player that want to come in to invest, the opportunity is there. And by the way, the population is here. Don't forget that you have over 200 million population. So the market is here as well.
Really interesting here. And just before we go, we're here at NOG Energy Week. What's the importance of a show like this that now covers the whole energy value chain?
This is one of the top conferences we have in Nigeria for oil and gas industry. This is where we have the senior players in the industry to come in and brainstorm and also chart the direction for the policies for the energy in this country. And I do believe that NOG year on year have done quite well. Already listening to the talks going so far, top speakers already, frank discussions in terms of what we need to do to be able to bridge the gap, bridge the net zero by 2060, but at the same time, provide the energy access that the population of this country deserve.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming down to the Energy Connect studio.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be with you, Julian.
Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for watching, and I look forward to bringing you more studio interviews in the coming days.